If the price was right, would you be open to maybe receiving an offer in the next 6 to 12 months? You see what I'm doing there? You get the vibe
Yep.
a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
They say no, then they are, to use your word, a looky-loo. God bless, send them a home value update, whatever, right? Let them go, right? What you're going to find is there is going to be an uptick in those conversations. Instead of them just ending with a middle finger, there's going to be an insignificant percentage of people that say, yeah, I mean, if the price was right, maybe. That gives you a whole new talk track. Happy Friday. I think I recognize everybody's face, but just in case, if this is the first time you're on, my name is Barry Jenkins, and I wrote a best-selling book called Too Nice for Sales. And the team at Meskula has asked me to take a little bit of time each week, help you guys convert more leads using the principles of the book. I have an 80-agent salesperson team in the city of Virginia Beach, Virginia, and been at it for over 2.5 decades. So know a thing or two, hopefully, and excited to pour in. So as we normally do, I have found the best way to help each of you grow your business is for me to be able to talk to you. If there has been anything that stands out about your business over the last couple of weeks, good or bad, I want to hear about it. So conversations that you're having, they're either going well or they're going poorly, and I want to know about it. So if you're talking to leads, you're getting an appointment, but you're not getting the sales, I want to hear about it. If you're not getting the appointment, I want to hear about it. I think somebody's mic was unmuted. So did they want to go first? Oh, they just muted. All right, they're like, not me. Okay. Also, if you can't get anybody on the phone, we can talk about drips or the voicemails you're leaving. We can unpack that. So who wants to kick us off?
Sorry, I'm a couple seconds late.
The question was, what's your favorite color? No, I'm just kidding. What has out of the conversations you're having over the last couple of weeks, good or bad, what have the outcomes been? Are you meeting humans face to face as a result of your conversations?
I think yeah.
Hey, Mark.
One of the issues I've been having is people scheduling an appointment and then not answering the phone the time of the appointment. And then I'll just keep following up random times of the day. And once I do get in contact with them, they're like, "Oh, I'm at work. I'm sorry, I can't talk right now. Oh, this or that." And I try to get another time. And sometimes they'll give me a time, sometimes they don't, but they always seem to like one way or another.
Okay. I don't know if you were on when I recommended this, but I'm curious if you're doing this. The day before the appointment, if at all possible, are you either calling or sending a text to talk about the appointment? Not to confirm the appointment, but like, hey, I'm working on some information about your property for our appointment tomorrow. Just checking. Have you done any updates to the interior?
No, I haven't done that. All I get is Ashley saying, like, "I'm looking forward to our appointment in an hour," or something like that.
Okay. So look, I don't know about you guys, but I ignore appointment reminders. Now, I don't ignore my appointments. Apparently some people do, but I do ignore appointment reminders because they're reminders. So let's break down what I'm recommending you do. And the reason why I'm going to break it down is I want you guys to apply this into the other conversations that you're having and the way that you're dialoguing with these people, these leads. Calling or texting a lead and something like, "Are you available?" Just checking to make sure you're still available tomorrow at 1. That is totally what a salesperson would say. Absolutely screams of, I don't want to waste my time. I'm used to people not making their appointments. It just kind of like exudes this like neediness. But if you come to the lead and say, "Hey, John, I'm preparing for our appointment tomorrow," I effectively just reminded him about the appointment tomorrow. But now what I'm doing is I'm asking him something about his home. I'm working on some information about your neighborhood. And I was just curious, have you done any upgrades to the property? Right? Now, you don't have to run with that script because some of you might have already talked about upgrades, right? But if you haven't, run with that, right? If you've already talked about upgrades, I would ask them about really anything else about their property. Have you seen the other sales in the neighborhood? Would that be interesting to you for tomorrow? So that's just another way to bring up. The whole idea here is for me to legitimatize. Wow, that was really hard to say. Legitimatize my communication with them right now in a way that speaks of I am a high value professional. I am not a weak, needy salesperson that is used to having people cancel their appointments. When I'm asking you, are you going to make it tomorrow? I am worried you're going to make it tomorrow. But when I say I'm already working on tomorrow, can you clarify something? It speaks of value. And so this needs to be this needs to encompass everything about the early days of this relationship that you're forming with the prospect. Every communication you have with these people needs to drip with value. And you do not need to be that creative to drip with value. I'm not asking you to write a poem, okay? I'm not asking you to sing a song. Like we could have Karen do that, right? We don't need to sing songs to the leads, right? You just need to have a list of like 5 or 6 different things that homeowners need to consider and have content around those 5 or 6 things that you can just pull out of your toolbox whenever they come up. This happens to be one of them. I guarantee you, Mark, I guarantee you will have more communication with prospects if you go this route. Now, am I saying if you do this, all your appointments are going to make it? Absolutely not. But you will get people that say, yeah, actually, I just updated my kitchen, but hey, Mark, I got to move that appointment tomorrow. Oh, no problem. Is there another? I normally like to do these on Wednesdays. I love that phrase, by the way. I normally like to do these on Wednesdays or Saturdays, but I can be flexible. So what some salespeople do is they say, I only do these appointments Wednesday and Saturday, and they make themselves super valuable. And they kind of like, you're overplaying your hand a little bit because there's a lot of other real estate agents that are very accommodating. But by saying I'm available these days and I can be flexible, I'm kind of scratching both itches. You know what I mean? Like I'm available, but like I also like to manage my time. So I guarantee you will get more clarity on the people showing up. And I think it also, you have an opportunity when they do change their schedule. Let's talk about when they do change the appointment. I love the phrase, I totally get it, life happens. I totally get it, life happens. Give them a pass on them not being able to make the appointment. And give them some grace. Tell them, I totally get it. Life happens. I have to change my appointments sometimes too. Is there a better day for you? I like to do these Wednesday or Saturday, right? By showing that you're pliable, but you also are managing your schedule, again, speaks of high value. You're a high value professional. You are not selling, no offense, but you're not selling Cutco knives, right? In my book, I talk about how somebody called me and they said, you sold my mom and dad a house and I'm getting a college credit if I do a certain number of presentations on Cutco knives, right? And she said she was going to do it via Zoom. And then last minute, she said I needed to do it in person. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm too busy to do an in-person appointment. I'm happy to let you do a presentation over Zoom. So I'm trying to accommodate, right? And she wouldn't do it. Well, then for the next 3 months, she called me every 3 days. And so I saved her number as Knife Girl or Knife Guy. It might have been a guy, actually. I don't remember. Knife Guy, don't answer. Because I was like, I already told her what would work for me and she's not willing to do it. You don't want to be the person that they avoid. You want to be the person that when they see your number, they're like, okay, this is not going to be a waste of my time. So does that make sense, Mark? I know it's like a way longer answer than you probably thought it was going to be. All right. So what about the rest of you? As far as your business is concerned, are you having conversations with these humans that own homes? We call them seller leads. Daniel.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up really quickly. I have the other Karen, not internal Karen. We have Karen Contata, which I'm really glad to see you on today, Karen. I can definitely let her build on this, but there's a specific scenario because of her area. She's in on the west coast of Florida. The biggest question that I guess we had was in regards to that market, if you had any kind of, I guess, suggestions overall, which suggestion sounds like a vague word, but suggestions overall for that area where some people, they may have not seen too much devastation on their property, but they're aware the hurricane happened and all.
Look, vacation markets are different. Am I right, Karen?
100%. And Barry, I've worked with you before with Robert Slack. I used to be one of his team leads.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you now. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's like this. started with this company because I wanted a feel of getting something new off.
Uh-huh.
I'm doing everything by myself now, no more team for a while.
Sure.
So
Good for you.
I literally have called probably, well, 35 people already,
Mhm.
and I've got much more leads than that to work off of. And I sent every single person that I've got, 70 people now, CMAs. But I did the quick ones, not the ones that are lengthy and all that. And they're falling back on those going, can you give me more? And if you guys need to know how to do those, just go on the MLS and they'll trigger it and help you out because you can send them over pretty quick. The
Okay.
problem is now everybody's calling me because their houses are destroyed down here.
Oh,
And they're like, Karen, I need a quick sale. You know, my house was worth 850,000. Now I'm selling it just by the studs and what I've got left for maybe 400. And I'm doing that. Is that feasible to you? I'm not, my husband's a builder, but I'm not going to say that to them by any means. So it's just like everybody now is just wanting certain things to happen, but they want to know what their home is worth after all this devastation around here. And I'm getting that constantly.
Yeah. First of all, that's just emotionally probably really challenging to talk through with people. So I really admire you for trying to be there for them. And I can tell that you're very sensitive to the difficulties that they're facing. The fact that you don't want to bring up your husband being a builder just kind of shows to your attempt at being ethical and careful. You know, if I was this person that's experienced a tragedy and is now, I'm going to make a wide sweeping assumption that they're all vacation homes. I know not all of them are, but I'm just going to assume in this conversation that they are. They just want to be done with it. Some things that I would probably take on in these conversations, and it's a lot of work. It reminds me of short sales. I don't know how long you've been an agent, but you know, there was a time period where you had to negotiate the short sale, and I had to almost act like a loan officer. All right, give me your tax records and a hardship letter, and here's a sheet that I want you to fill out that shows what your monthly expenses are. Show me your bank statements, how much cash, because we were going to ask the bank to take a hit of like $100,000 on the mortgage, and we had to show that my person wasn't able to eat that 100,000 on their own. And so I had to do all this extra work for my client so that I could get their home sold. Right? You tracking with me so far? Okay. Some of the things that I would start to take on with these people is I would say, well, would you like me to start to try to facilitate a conversation with your insurance agent? Right? Outside the scope of being a listing agent, completely outside the scope, but talk about value, right? Mr. Smith, do a three-way call with your client. Mr. Smith, I know that they have insurance through you. We're looking at possibly selling it. What is the max payout for them to get this home? And, let's say they say it's $300,000. Okay. Mr. Client, I'm going to see if I can get you more than $300,000 for the home as is. Right. So you're taking the reality of, because they're that option. They could just get the money from the insurance company. And there's different ways that insurance companies do that. They could only pay for materials. There's all kinds of different intricacies. But just by being the person on the phone with their insurance agent and the client, just facilitating that conversation. Can you imagine the stress that goes down? The realtor and the insurance agent are all on the same page, right? And then if they're not sure of what the damage is, now you're on the phone with the contractor, the insurance agent, and the client, maybe not all at the same time, but you're kind of facilitating the decision-making process. Personally, if I was going through a period of destruction, I would prefer to have one of the professionals that I hire help me to facilitate the conversation with everyone involved to help make an educated decision. It's going to speed up the process, and you're going to be adding a value to your services outside the scope of sticking a sign in the yard, outside the scope of determining resale value. You're able to help them actually make a decision. Does this make sense?
Does. Do you think that they're going to say, I really don't want you to talk to the people that I'm paying fees to? as far as insurance fees. But that's where I would probably say, well, listen, I'm not calling them as a person, I'm calling them as a realtor. So I can get some knowledge from them on what I can do for you.
Sure, no problem. So here's how I would handle this conversation. Karen, first of all, I'm really sorry that you're going through what you're going through. And I'm really glad that you called me because I specialize in this circumstance. I've sent out 70 of these specific scenarios in the last 60 days. So this is something that I specialize in. I've been in the industry over 2 decades. And I just want you to know that I'm going to help you navigate the decision-making process. With that in mind, I've done a quick CMA based on a few factors. Here's kind of the 2 different values I've come up with. Fixed up, I think it's worth this. As is, it's probably in this range. Now that you have these 2 numbers, what my other clients have appreciated is when I help segue a conversation with their insurance agent, because we need to decide, is it worth it to have the insurance company come in and do a claim, pay things off, and then you resell it? Is that worth it to you? Or would it be easier for you to cut and run? Now, you don't need me to have that conversation with your insurance agent. But what I found is most of my clients appreciate the extra service that I'm providing because I'm able to help curate all the conversations and help give that direction. So I'm not asking to do it. I'm offering. I think if you ask to do it, you're right. They're going to be like, what? No, I'm good. I got it. But if you kind of take on the role of like administrator of the project, it's a win-win situation because either they say no and inside they're like, man, this is a high value agent, or they say yes and they say you're a lifesaver. But in either scenario, you win by offering a service that you and I both know other listing agents in your market aren't offering. Most of the other agents are calling a builder that they know and they're like, hey, you want to make a quick 100,000? I think I got a good one. That's what they're doing, right? And I'm not faulting them for that, right? So, and I say this because I think for you, this is not your first rodeo. And you were managing a high performing team for the Slack team, and so a thing or two. And I think that this is something that you could probably. And so what you might want to do is have a conversation with an insurance agent that you trust, and just say, in these situations where the home is completely destroyed and they're trying to decide to sell, I'm thinking about facilitating conversations between the insurance agent and the client. What are some things as an insurance agent you would find helpful if an agent was involved? Like, what would you appreciate about their role? Because they're trying to decide if they're going to sell it as is or not. And that insurance agent might give you a couple of tips because you don't want to make the insurance agent mad either, right? What is this lady calling me for? So again, it's a win-win. Either they say yes and you get to help, or they say no and they're like, wow, that was really valuable. I love offering to help and not having to do anything. It's like the best. Like people are like, I need help. Oh, sure, I'll help. Oh, we don't need it anymore. So I get credit for offering and I didn't have to do anything. Like, this is great, right? There's that. And then I imagine there's a lot of people that are buying, still a lot of interest in buying these homes, right?
Yes, there are a lot of people still interested in down here. They've been waiting because they're such a red state. They've been waiting for this election to get over. I mean, like you said, this is not my first rodeo, and it's not that I'm better than any agent by any means, but you can feel it when you're talking to people down here. Don't bother me, call me after the election. And that's why I wanted to get involved with this company, because I just felt that they could give me some structure, even more so, on what to do. And especially when you live in Florida, these things, I mean, we've had 3 hurricanes, Debbie, Milton, and Helene. People are destroyed emotionally right now. So you've got to go in, and I've already gone to 2 people already, homes, and talked to them. And they're like, I still got to get stuff going, but come back. Let's talk in a month after the election's over with. And I'm like, okay,
Absolutely. Yeah, no. And I think, and so, these 60 or so homeowners that you have, I think now it's time for you to take on the role of administrator in the sense of like program administrator. You need to have that energy of, look, and using phrases like, my other clients in this circumstance appreciated it when, right? And you start owning them. Like, you're basically telling them they're a client without saying you're my client. My other clients appreciated it when I helped in the decision-making process by it might be better for you, Mrs. Smith, if you file an insurance claim. Have you talked to them? Yeah, but it's hard because da, 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 da. Just by being that sounding board, you're offering value outside of just giving the CMA. Because while the CMA is valuable, they can get numbers, albeit they're probably wrong, from Zillow, albeit wrong from their tax assessment. They still trust that tax assessment. They shouldn't, but they do, right? And so they do have a perspective on what their home is worth already. So although it is valuable, you are removing a big question mark for them. And then the other thing that we do, although I haven't faced what you're facing, when we deal with distressed sellers, is we have a cash buyer in hand. And so I know in Florida, there are a lot of cash offer businesses, and I'm not talking about mom and pop cash offers. I'm talking about like institutional investors.
Right. Big conglomerates down here that do offer that.
Yeah. So like there's the Open Door, there's Zoodealio, there's a whole bunch of companies that do it. And so having that as well, we've started to bring cash offers to some of our listing appointments through these third-party cash offer services, not because they're going to take the cash offer. I think in your situation, some of them might, but with your regular seller, they're probably not going to sell their home cash. But the fact that I already I'm bringing a cash offer with me to the listing appointment, it's another reason it's setting me apart. So for those of you not in Florida, not dealing with the distressed sellers, if you do have a partnership with a cash offer company, that's something that you can just bring to show that you're really, moving the needle as far as getting the home sold for them. So hopefully
sure. You've got North Carolina, you've got a lot of states that go through this sometimes and they don't know what to do with it, and you can only put the puzzle together yourself and try to figure it out to help. And this has been a big help. Yeah.
Good. And that is where the opportunity is. I was obliterated from 2008 through 2010 financially. A week away from bankruptcy, the market crashed overnight, and I didn't know how to tell people no. So they would list their home ridiculously high, and I just said yes, because that's what got me the first 7 years, was always saying yes. And it was that period and the financial destruction of that period, and I had to learn how to pivot. I wish I would have done it faster, but I'm grateful for that, because then 2011, the business that I have today, and all the success that if you Google me and you read about my many accolades and the things that I've done in the real estate industry, all of them came out of 2008 to 2010, because I had to learn how to get creative and I had to find the opportunity in the challenge. And so that's for all of you. If you as a disposition find the opportunity in the challenge, you will remain successful regardless of the circumstances around you. But that's not what we do. In our society, bad things happen and we appropriately get discouraged. And most people stay there. It's okay to face discouragement. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be frustrated. What's not okay is to stay there. Being a victim you either choose, am I going to be a victim to the really hard circumstances I'm facing, or am I going to be victorious, right? Am I going to choose to pivot? And, look, I'm not trying to make anyone, especially not the circumstances in Florida or anybody else on this call, your circumstances, I'm not making light of them. But unfortunately, we can't control what happens to us. I really wish I could. I would have changed a couple of things, right? But unfortunately, we can't. All we can control is how we respond to those circumstances. I literally just tripled Karen's workload. Like literally, my idea represents such a significant increase in work and conversations that the standard agent doesn't have. Right. She might hear it and say, I hear you, Barry. I hear it's a good idea. I don't think I'm going to do it. And I would respect you all the same. And I don't need you to tell me one way or the other, Karen. But that what we all can recognize, though, is that's a decision that she's making. She could look at it and say, that's not for me, right? Or she could look at it and say, you know what? I'm going to press into this. There's something here. And what if that decision to press into that and do the extra work results in a 300 to 400% increase in revenue for her business year over year? We would all look back and say Karen's a genius, right? So it's all about the decision and how we respond to the hard thing. So we
look at it this way. If I don't try it, it's not going to work. So I need to try it to see if it is going to work. And that's what you do.
I guarantee you, having the discussion will result in them gaining trust. Whether they have you talk, success is not you talking to the insurance agent. Success is them saying, wow, I can trust Karen. That's
I cared.
and I can trust her. So just offering it is the win.
Right.
Whether you do the extra work or not. All right, Joshua, you got a question?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
all right, so I get the lead, right? And I typically have a very high conversion ratio on online leads, like well into the like 10 to 15% range. And like we've got a system down, everyone gets called, touched, emailed, text, video, blah, 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 right? The thing that's different about these leads that I'm noticing, right, is like a high percentage of people are giving you the middle finger, right? Which is fine. I understand that's the game we're playing, right? A high percentage are like, oh, just want to see my value, right? That's fine too. And I know how to overcome these objections. Like that's not hard. It's not rocket science to get someone to have a conversation with you. But man, out of the like, I don't know, 50, I'd have to look, 50 maybe leads that I've got, the percentages just seem drastically off. And I figured Facebook would actually be the format because that's actually who I would rather work with. I want to work with older people, and that's kind of Facebook's demographic, right? Like I like older people because they typically are financially stable, they know what they want to do, they're not jerking your chain, et cetera, et cetera. I guess like here's my format, right? Like I get a lead, right? I'm instantly on the phone, right? If it's too late, then I text them, greet them. They obviously automatically get an email. My robot goes into thing. I can monitor the robot and chime in at the certain point that I need to. But it's not getting, I don't know. I'm just wondering if there's a step that I'm missing because I'm calling, I'm texting, we're visiting people's houses, right? Like we're doing all of the things. And it just seems out of that many, there's always one that's going to be a laydown, right? There's always, and I have not experienced even remotely close to someone that's interested in selling the house. So my question, I guess, becomes like, is this advertising method, hey, what's your house worth? Is it generating on purpose more looky-loos than people that are actually serious? And if it is, like, what's the solution? Like, I mean, how do we get around that?
Yeah, I got you. So quick question. So if you were to just give like a broad brush, when you said, generally 9-10% conversion of online leads, is that more like Zillow and Realtor style online leads, or is it
no, it's from Ylopo. My Ylopo.
Okay. Got it. 9-10%. Okay. So what I would say is that the seller lead specifically is the most difficult type of lead to close, because rarely does someone wake up in the morning and say with urgency, I need to sell my house in the next 60 to 90 days. Now we're thrilled when that happens, right? What you're dealing with is you're talking to people that are interested in what their home is worth. But who isn't interested in what their home is worth? I mean, I don't know anybody that owns a home that isn't interested in what their home is worth.
Right.
And what you have to do is you have to take people that are casually interested in their home value and see if you can, in a 3 to 5 minute conversation, surface some kind of level of urgency with regards to them wanting to sell. So as they're giving you the middle finger, I want you to ask them this question. Basically, I totally get it. Most people aren't interested in selling anytime soon. Out of curiosity, so this is as you kind of have a vibe, you're hanging the phone up. Out of curiosity, if the price was right, would you be open to receiving an offer in the next 6 to 12 months? So it's like, you're like, yeah, no problem. Like, yeah, I get it. Most people aren't interested in selling. Actually, now that I think about it, like if the price was right, would you be open to maybe receiving an offer in the next 6 to 12 months? You see what I'm doing there? You get the vibe a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
They say no, then they are, to use your word, a looky-loo. God bless, send them a home value update, whatever, right? Let them go, right? What you're going to find is there is going to be an uptick in those conversations. Instead of them just ending with a middle finger, there's going to be an insignificant percentage of people that say, yeah, I mean, if the price was right, maybe. That gives you a whole new talk track.
Yes.
Whole new talk track. Now, you can't be excited like, oh, good. Okay, why don't you come over and do a CMA and listing? No, not yet. Right? The sale is, okay, well, since you would be open to receiving an offer, I'm really, really glad you're not ready to sell. That's what it sounds like. Am I right, Mr. Smith? You're not ready to sell? Oh, yeah, Barry, I'm not ready to sell at all. Perfect. I'm so glad I'm talking to you right now. What we need to do is I need to do a 15-minute walkthrough of your house while you're not ready to sell. And I just need to look at it like a buyer, because you are probably going to do what most homeowners do. You're going to fix a bunch of stuff and it's going to be a complete waste of money. So when you're in this period of not even being remotely close to selling, I just need to do a quick walkthrough. Now, I like to do these Wednesday morning or Saturday afternoons or mornings or whatever. You're going to start getting into homes, right?
Okay.
And then once you're in there, you can slowly backdoor into the listing presentation. Does that make sense a little bit?
Yeah,
Are you
no,
doing that?
totally makes sense. I mean,
Are you already doing that?
I do a lot of that. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm shut down before I can even have a conversation at sometimes. And I am really bad at over monitoring what's happening. Right? Like a lead comes in, I'm fucking on it. Like boom.
Okay.
doing
Well,
this
so
stuff.
what I want you to do, I want you to send the messages that you're sending into the Meskula team and let them look at it, because there's a chance, just in hearing what you're saying, that there's an urgency, there's a higher level of urgency in your tone, in the way that you're sending messages, that could be pushing people away. Here's a subtle example. Hey, John, saw you wanted your home value, excited about talking to you. Do you have 5 minutes to chat right now? Right? I wouldn't send that. I'm not going to say that I'm excited. I'm not going to say that I want to talk to them. Like they registered and 5 minutes later, they're getting a message that says, can you talk in 5 minutes? Just the whole thing screams of a sale, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to almost be a friendly, too hard to get, right? It's like, you can't, to use a dating analogy, you can't walk up to the bar and say, can I buy you a drink? You start to order the drink and you're like, hey, you want one too? Like, you got to be subtle. You know what I mean? And that's the name of the game here. And so I would also examine those messages that you're sending.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, no, I mean, like here's an example, right? Morning, Dustin, we can.
That's all she asked you.
This is my bot talking, but
Okay.
we can end any time. But I noticed you looked into the market info for your property at 97701. You have 10 minutes to discuss via the report via phone. The next few days, me, right? And then the response was, I was just interested to see the value of the property. We're not looking to sell or buy. Thank you, right? And then the bot responded, okay, we'll keep this in mind in the future. So it's kind of an open door. Now I can chime in with a different message, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think that was overzealous, the first part of it? Is like that too much?
It's trying to surface an opportunity. And then what I would do with that one is I would say, hey, saw that you're not interested in selling anytime soon and you wanted to get your
How was
home
the
value.
service?
I started working on those numbers. Do you have 5 minutes to chat? Like I started working on those numbers. Do you have 5 minutes to chat? And I'm taking it away. I'm saying, saw you weren't interested in selling anytime soon. I started working on the numbers for you. Do you have 5 minutes to chat? So I'm starting with, they don't want to sell. And then I go into, I already did work for you. And then I say, do you have 5 minutes to chat? You see this? It's so subtle, man.
Yeah.
But you almost have to come across like the front desk person at a real estate office. Like they're friendly, but I'm almost bothering me in a way. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I get it, man. Like it's all the minutiae of the conversation. I'm not new at this. I've been selling homes for
No, I know you aren't. But you know enough to know that you got to make a tweak. And so
yeah, absolutely.
That's the subtle tweak that I would make. All right, a little bit over, but I'll go ahead and go to Susan. Go ahead and unmute Susan if you can. And what question can I answer?
Hi, Barry. Yes, thank you so much. I'm part of William Ledesma's team, and I just wanted to get some clarification. I heard what you told Karen and this gentleman here, but when it comes to clients who are in a distress because their houses are unfortunately disaster because of the hurricanes, I mean, if they still owe money on the mortgage, I'm looking for the proper verbiage to phrase it to see if how are we going to resolve that? Because we got to look into who has it financed and to get that done. And if the bank would allow a short sale, not just dealing with the insurance company, but we also have to have that aspect of it to cover. So I'm trying to combine all three in one thing. So that I have a different angle of getting in.
Yeah, what you're doing is you listen to me talk to Karen, you went there mentally, and you're like, all right, well, how do I connect all these dots? So good for you. Sure. You're going there and you're trying to figure it out. Well, time doesn't allow me to go into an exhaustive discovery session on what it was involved, but let me kind of give you some high level principles. One, there's a mortgage owed on the property and the property's been damaged. Let's say the home They owe 500,000 on the property. In perfect condition in a healthy market, the home is worth $1 million. So they have 500,000 in equity if they have the home fixed up. Well, there's the on the property of 500,000. There's the potential of it getting repaired and getting it fixed and it being worth $1 million. And then there's what the insurance company is saying they're going to give the homeowner to have the home repaired. In some instances, they got a really crappy deductible, right? That's going to force them to sell the property as is. And so what you're doing is you're saying, okay, Mrs. Smith, how much do you owe? 500,000. Got it. I did a CMA. Looks like it's worth $1 million fixed up. So let's just file that away in the back of our mind. Has your insurance agent told you what how your policy works? Meaning, what are they going to pay to have it fixed up? Are they, like what is the arrangement? How does that look like? What's the time involved? Are you willing to wait? So, because the insurance company is not going to say, hold on a second, let me pull it up. Oh, yes, we're going to give you $300,000. They're not going to tell you that over the phone. They got to send in inspectors and they've got to determine the bid and they've got to prepare it. But you can help to get an idea from them of, let's say, so what you would do is you would, while you're on the phone with the insurance agent, you would say, let's say you come in and just hypothetically, you find that there's $300,000 worth of repairs needed. What would that look like from your insurance company? How much of that money would go to the contractor? How much of it would be a deductible that my client would have to pay? Like basically you're saying, let's play make-believe on the way the numbers actually look, because you guys haven't been in the home yet. You haven't determined what the carpet costs. You haven't determined the electrical issues, but let's just pretend for conversation's sake, it's $300,000. What would the process be on them getting the claim and getting it repaired? That's a very valuable discussion for a homeowner, because the agent might say to your client, well, you got to get an inspection from this company and they're booked out 90 days. So we are going to wait 3 months to get that. Then we have 30 days to review their bid. Once the bid comes in, let's say it's worth 300,000 of damages. You have a 20% deductible, or you have this. So we would actually give you this much money, and then you would have to come out of pocket this much. Now they have a degree of clarity on what the process looks like, setting aside the money, because we really don't know what the repairs are yet in most instances, but you're allowing them to go to the end of the process and decide, is it worth it? Or should I just cut and run and sell the property as is? In which case you might want to develop a relationship with institutional investors, Open Doors, Zudilio, one of those, to where they can actually start to buy these homes cash, or a local builder. But you don't do that until they have clarity on your goal is to give them clarity on the process, not to get the insurance agent to give specifics, because they're not going to be able to do that over the phone without more data and inspections and bids and all that other stuff. Does that make sense?
Yes. So basically you're saying, for my clients would be like, okay, let's look at your declarations page and see what the dwelling coverage is. 'Cause that's going to be a good starting point of what it would be to replace the house, depending on what it is.
So you're on the right track. I would tell you, don't get the declarations page out. Let the insurance agent do that. Don't that, because you're not licensed. I'm assuming you're not licensed in property and casualty insurance. And so you don't want to take on the burden of insurance in this scenario. You want to take on the burden of facilitating clarity in the conversations with the professionals, the same way you do with the attorney, the lender, the contractors. I mean, you already do this kind of thing right now with the other parts of the transaction. This adds a new layer of value you can be providing these homeowners so that you can support them in getting clarity.
I actually do have my license, but yes, this wouldn't be
All
an
right,
instance of where I would want to use and preface both of those, because it's depending on the carrier is going to be different. So I would definitely stay in my real estate lane and not mix the two.
Don't do any extra work. Again, the value is the facilitating of the conversation so that they can go there. They can go 6 months from now with you. They can go on a mental journey and decide, is this worth it? Guys, that is incredibly valuable to the homeowner. The fact that you're taking them there. And I want you, everybody on this call, if you're not in Florida, I want you doing this in the other parts of the business. They're like, I want to wait for another year. Okay, let's go there. November 2025, you want to wait a year. Why did you wait a year? Well, I'm hoping rates will change. What would change about your life? Like you literally take them down this imaginary, what is the school bus cartoon they used to watch? Like they would go in these imaginary places to go learn. That's literally what you're doing with them. And that is an incredibly valuable conversation. just that alone. And it's something that agents don't do enough because they're afraid to overstep their bounds. So, all right, well, we went way over, we got one more question. We'll take this for real is the last one. All right, Habib.
Hi, Barry. Thank you, firstly, for sharing all these insights. I found it immensely helpful. The point I have, or the question I have, is slightly departure from the calling that we are doing. My primary farm area is near my home, and it's a community. And what has happened is, recently in the HOA meeting, we were told that we are going to get a very steep HOA hike, right? And it has sent the residents in a frenzy. And there have been several people who are saying that they will sell if that happens. Now, I do have mailer campaign and other things in this area. How do I say subtly that, you can do this either through a mailer or in a conversation? Because most of these people are my friends and stuff like that as well. Right. So just one.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I'll just tell you what I would do. I have a big database, and I run ads to my database. And I would say to them, I would send mailers. I would also, so I would notify them through multiple media channels, email marketing, postcards, and I would say something to the effect of, I have buyers looking for a home in this neighborhood. Click this link to scan this QR code to check what your home value is. And so you are offering them home buyers for their property, and the call to action is them checking their home value. I really like CoreFact. I don't know if they still have this product, but there was a while back, it's a postcard with an automated home evaluation on it, so that homeowners can put in a key code and get an automated value. It's just a great way to get homeowners engaging with your material. But I have found that the angle of having buyers for the home allows you to have a level of significance that other agents don't have. And that's why a lot of agents lie and they say they don't. But that's the importance of having a database, is so that I can go through and say, who do I have in my database that's been searching for a home in this area? And then to that. So I probably didn't answer your question exactly, but that's what I would do.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for staying on late. Bye.